Hey there! So you're probably wondering, dude, what's rehab? Well, in this video, I'm here to explain. Let's begin. Well, from my experience, rehabilitation is the process in which you're recovering from injury using a set of exercises and stretches to strengthen the injured part. So for those of you who don't know, I've not been making content simply because last month I had a session. I did a drill that I've done thousands of times, but somehow I leant just that little bit too far back and landed in this really weird split position, as I'll show on the screen. I'll demonstrate for you. I still don't even know how I got into that position, but in a way it happened, and as a result I ended up damaging all of my knee, and I've been having to undergo rehabilitation. I've had to go to physiotherapy for 3 sessions, I believe, and that really helped. I was already doing stretches straight after I injured myself because I knew that was the first thing I needed to do. As of the last 2 days, I've started doing my strengthening part of it. Now, I probably should have done this sooner than 2 days ago, but I've been a bit lazy recently because I've not tricked in a month. Now, you probably look at that number, 1 month, and you think I've lost a lot in that time. Truth is, I actually haven't. A lot of the stuff that I've been drilling recently has still stuck with me. I've still got the muscle memory. And the reason being is because in rehabilitation, no one said you can't do tricking drills. So I've been drilling touchdown rates, drilling my kick steps, you know? Things like that. Obviously, it depends what you've injured. Like if it's a knee, it should be okay. But the trick is as well, is rehabilitation includes what you're gonna do after injury, how you're gonna approach your training differently. So, in this video, I'm going to give you a couple of exercises and stretches that I do for my knee. It is my right knee, so there will not be any 540 kick stuff anymore for at least a solid 2 or 3 more months, because my knee is still slightly twisted. I'll show you in a second. So at the minute, I'm in the process of correcting that twisting and also just strengthening my knee to regain stability. Because after injury, what happens is muscles tear themselves. When they fix up, sometimes they're not quite in the correct position, and some muscles are so shocked from the impact that they actually kind of forget how to work almost. So the idea of exercises and stretches is it stretches the really tight muscles that you've injured so that they loosen up and start working again if they're chronically tight. And then the process of the exercises is in order to strengthen those weakened muscles, because they wouldn't have been used for quite some time and they need to remember how to work. So you've got to strengthen them and stimulate that blood flow through them so they remember how to work again. So now I'll get on to showing you some of the things I do for my knee and explaining why this helps me. Let's go. So, I'm first going to start with a simple little exercise that all you require is a staircase. All you need is 1 or 2 steps. I'm gonna look at my line and align my, look at my line, Muppet. I'm gonna look at my knee, and I'm gonna get it in the right position. That way I'm working the correct muscles. So if your knee is a bit twisted out like mine, what I do is I simply just roll up my my joggers if I'm wearing joggers, or if you have shorts, it's so much easier because you don't have to do anything. I roll up and make sure that all the points are in the correct position. This may feel really awkward and it might even be painful at first, but if you feel any tightness, that's probably because the muscles have forgotten to work. Even doing this right now, actually my ankle is very sore because from where I landed, I injured my ankle, mostly my calf and parts of my knee, and also a tiny bit of my hip flexor up here. So what you've also got to understand is there's also going to be a lot of other places that are injured when you get injured. It's not just the main source of the pain, usually it's above and below too. So now I'm in my proper position to use my knee. I'm going to take 1 step up. I'm going to put it on the step. I'm going to use, if you have 2 little things to guide you with at first, if you don't have the stability on your knee yet, because obviously stability is not going to be present if you've literally only just come back from injury. So you have to work it with strength. So you're going to grab onto 2 things, and I'm just going to step up slowly, up, and slowly down, trying to make sure I keep that aligned position in my knee. That way I'm working the correct muscles and also strengthening. And the slower you do it, the more muscles are actually going to activate. And also this will help with your stability. So let your hands do most of the work at first, because obviously this is going to be really painful at first. You may actually have to wait a week or two potentially before you start doing like strengthening exercises. I mean, even now it's been a long time and my knee still isn't actually fully healed, but it's good enough, and that's why I'm starting my rehabilitation process right now as of the last 2 days. Next exercise you can do with stairs is calf raises. Now you can do these without stairs, but if you want an extra progression, do it with stairs. So you're gonna get on one step. I'll do it so you can see. You're gonna get onto your step, like so, making sure you're still aligned in the right place. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna get the feet hanging over the edge, just the ball of the feet touching. You're gonna go down and up, like this. You will realize that this will actually really murder your calves at first, after like 10 or 15 reps of the first time if you're ever doing this. Again, you wanna try and go slow as possible and use your arms to balance. And this will work the calf really well. The calf is actually one of the bits that I injured quite badly, so this is quite an important step in my rehab in order to fix my knee. You can do them faster too, you can do them wide to work different parts of your knee. Or you can do them narrow too, that works more of the glute. Now this is also because, like I said earlier, different parts of the knee are going to be affected by this injury for me. So I've got to work above the knee and below the knee. On the previous exercise, it was working a bit of my quads too. So that would be strengthening the quads, and also realigning my knee will get the hip engaged, so it relearns how to put my knee in the correct place again. And my ankle too. So I'm now working all of these muscles, and keeping on doing this will eventually put them in the correct position for them to work like normal again. And this is essential because I don't want to go back to doing my tricks, land awkwardly, and make it even worse. So it's important you rest and recover perfectly, so when you go back, your body is actually better off. And I'm guilty of this. I don't work my legs as much. Leg exercise is my least favorite exercise, and I neglect it a ton. And this is why it's punishing for me, because I've not worked my legs to the point where they're strong enough to withstand a lot of impact. And doing all this high impact stuff is only going to start damaging my knees more. And that's probably why I end up with so much knee pain from tricking, because I'm not ready to take that impact. I'm perfectly able to, but my body still isn't strong enough to comfortably take it, and therefore I'm damaging myself. And especially when I landed myself, if my body had been a bit stronger, the injury may not have even been as bad, because the muscles would have been strong enough to withstand it. That's why exercising and conditioning with rehab or without rehab is essential. It is getting your body stronger so it can take bigger hits, and that is crucial. The next exercise is probably going to be some type of squats, because we need to get our quads engaged. Now we're working above our knee. So like I said earlier, what this is going to do is it's going to strengthen the quadriceps, and if your knee is in the right place, it'll also strengthen your glute and your hip flexor in order to put them in the right place. The squat is a great staple exercise. Most people can squat, and if you're doing it with relatively okay form, mine isn't the best, they're going to really strengthen your knee quickly. Make sure you're going deep too. You want to work as many muscles as possible in rehabilitation, because you'll want to work each and every tiny little muscle fiber if you can possibly manage it. So doing your exercise fast is good for explosive power, but with rehab you don't want to re-injure yourself. So it's better to take it slow and steady, because at least that way you're going to be working more muscles and also deeper inside, because it's the deep muscles that are damaged, not sometimes so much the outer muscles, the ones that you can't always reach by doing normal speed exercises. So doing one slow rep is crucial. And fuck, I've got to do squats for 1:10 now. So what if you're too injured to squat properly with both knees? Well, in that case, find something to hold on and do pistol squats. I can do them without, but not with my left leg. So with my left leg, I'm going to set the example. Since this is my weaker knee anyway, and not my injured knee, it's good to strengthen both sides. So we're going to start with the weaker side first. So I'm going to do my left leg. Because strengthening both sides in rehabilitation is equally as important. Don't just strengthen the injured knee, strengthen the other knee, that's also good too. Because at least that way, you're going to come back equally as strong in both sides. As you can see, I'm not particularly good at these with my left knee. But let's take it to my right knee now. And focus as much as you can when you go down on it to keep everything in line and control. Keep your breathing slow and controlled too. I've not done pistol squats in so long. You can probably tell from how shaky I am. Shit. Sometimes you may need 2 hands to get up. Now the reason I struggle so much with that is because of the weakness in my knee. So that exercise is going to be crucial for me, and that's what I'm definitely going to be doing a lot more. I used to be able to do these off the wall easy, and now I can do them off the walls now, but they're not proper form. So I've got to use something to hold on to make sure I'm engaging those correct muscles so that I'm doing the exercise properly and not faulty. It's important to work both sides so you don't end up with just one massive knee, but you end up with 2 knees equally functional. So I definitely still work out both knees. That's why I'm saying squats are good, but if you really want to get into the rehab, pistol squats are what you need on both sides, and it will make your legs insanely strong. So, we've done explosive exercises, we've done normal speed exercises, and we've done slow exercises. So now the last thing to really test the stability is definitely isometric exercises. So for our quadriceps, we're going to do a wall sit. And if you align your knee properly, this will target the whole of your knee. And honestly, this is one of the best things you can do. So right now, we're gonna do a wall sit and hold it for at least 20 seconds, roughly. I'm guessing, I don't have a timer. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get our feet aligned. This is actually harder for me because one foot is an entire size bigger than the other, but I'm used to roughly guessing where it is. We're gonna lean against the wall until we're at a perfect 90-degree angle. We're then going to make sure our knee is aligned. Once more, use our hands to stabilize while we do that. And we're going to take our hands off the wall, back off the wall, and just sit like this. What this is really going to do is this is really going to fire up your glutes and your quads and just everything along here, which is going to really strengthen them and increase stability. If you want a challenge, go on your tiptoes and do it. This is a lot harder though, and you'll want to bring in your everything in a bit. So now we're challenging our ankles too, and more of this inner part of our quads. And finally, you want to do something for the singular, like balancing parts of your knees. And for that, I would still recommend pistol squats because you'll then be working balance in the single part of the knee. So keep up with those pistol squats. So far we've covered our ankles and calves, and we've covered our quadriceps. So those are most of the exercises you're going to need. Slow and controlled exercises for really targeting deep inside the muscles. Explosive exercises like explosive squats in order to target the explosive part in your training. However, that comes later in the stages of rehab. Earlier on, you want to be doing slower exercises and normal speed exercises just to get the muscles working. But what if there's tightness in the muscles? Well, now that's what we're going to answer. With the power of stretching. Woo! Oh, I should not do that. Yeah, do not try that at home. But seriously though, stretching, one of the best ways, especially if you have tight muscles from injury, stretch. When you're not tricking, make sure you're working your exercises and your stretches. Because trust me, when you go back, your body's going to benefit so massively. I've stretched continuously every day for nearly a month now, and my flexibility is getting even better. So now let's talk about stretches specifically for my knee injury. So obviously the biggest problem for me was my calf muscle. So that's what I'm going to be stretching the most. But we can't miss out the quadriceps or even the hamstrings. They're equally as important. And also one stretch that targets down the hip. You want to include hip stretches, knee stretches, and just like as many stretches for your leg as you possibly can. I'm gonna run through some simple ones, and very quickly. First stretch, bending down and touch your toes. So make sure you get your arms up, straight back as if you can, and bend down and touch your toes. That's really easy for me. I've been doing that since the start of tricking. I can do it with my eyes closed. I'm not going to demonstrate though because I might fall over. But yeah, again, make sure your knee's in the correct position. If this is too easy for you, I challenge you to put your hands flat on the floor or even behind you, grabbing like your ankles, let's say, and really pushing behind you. I'm aware how wrong this looks, but don't be childish now, I'm helping you guys out. So that's a great one for the hamstrings. If you want a bigger challenge though, get on the floor, again, and reach. This one's definitely a lot more intense. And back down. I'm not going to tell you how long to hold each stretch because I personally believe it's up to you, but do not bounce in your stretches. What I mean is none of this action. Try and just hold it. And you want to be slow too to work as many of the muscles and stretch them as much as possible. And play around with the stretch. If you want to stretch something different in this sort of stretch, bring the hands over the side like this. See what it changes. See what different things you can do in this stretch. Because trust me, you're going to find something that works and may even help you even more. We're into one of my favorite stretches now. This is actually a stretch that my best friend Kira taught me, and ever since she's taught me it, it's the most amazing stretch ever. Now for something like this, I'm going to find a pillow because this can be really harsh on your ankle, especially if it's got like really hard surface with corners on. But you want to find something that's like this with a bit of leverage so your knee can go downwards, like this. So yeah, that's the stretch. It's a really powerful stretch for your quads. It is the most life-changing thing ever. And if you're working towards splits, chances are the thing you're missing is your quad muscles. Because normally when quad muscles are tight, any sort of this motion becomes even harder. So if you really want to get your splits, I really recommend stretching your quads like this. But warning, it really hurts at first if you've not done it before. So be careful. Unfortunately, I don't have many pillows that are like low. If you can find something that's lower than this, like in terms of height, then it's better, but for this demonstration I can't, so I'm sorry about that. So, knee on top, make sure it's in the right position. You're going to drop down until it's touching the floor like this, up against the object. So if you're using like something that's against the wall, make sure it's right up against it. You're going to line it up, you're going to go out in a lunge position, then you're going to push up into this position, pushing your hips forward. You really need to control your breathing for this one because it is incredibly intense as a stretch. But right now, I'm really feeling it in this part of my quad. So you should really definitely implement this one if you're trying to stretch your quadriceps. It is a brilliant stretch. I highly recommend it for you. On the other side. So yeah, like I said, you're gonna really feel this stretch at first. Hold it for as long as you can comfortably, no more than a minute though, if you're going to like really insane levels. I definitely would not recommend above a minute, but if you can hold 20 seconds at least, try and push for that 20 seconds. I'm not gonna hold it for that long since I've already done that stretch today and I don't wanna overstretch, but you get the point right here that I'm trying to make. Honestly, the most amazing stretch, and Kira, if you're actually ever watching this, thank you so much for teaching me this stretch. Okay, so now I talked about my calf being a big issue, so we're going to stretch our calves. Here's how we do it. We're going to get our foot against the wall, knee aligned. You should be doing this by nature if your knee's injured. We're going to keep our foot flat against the wall, and we're going to just bring this leg forward in a lunge and bend it. You should already feel that stretch in your calf muscles. Really deep stretch. I actually feel it in my ankle too because my ankle is malaligned and I'm now stretching the really tight muscles in my ankle and my calf. So this is going to really help them come back in the right place. And both sides too, of course, we're not going to neglect our healthy side. And stretch. Oh shit. And boom. And there we have it. We've stretched our quads, our hamstrings, and our calves. So those are the main ones you're going to want for the knee. If you've got a hip injury, really quickly, I'm just going to quickly go over the pigeon pose. So you want to bring the foot over like this, and this is a really intense stretch for my right side especially, since that's the side I'm injured. And you bring it over like this, and bring the other knee backwards until it's right angle to the floor by your hand. I can't quite bring it down further than this on this side, but on my other side I can. I'll demonstrate. So now we've stretched our hips too, which allows a greater range of motion. You'll want to stretch your groin too. Just basically stretch as many parts as you can. I'm just covering bits that are related to my injury for you guys who maybe also are suffering from the injuries. Hopefully this video helps you out, and hopefully you understand what rehabilitation is. If you're on about doing tricking after injury, rehabilitation is essential. You cannot skip this step, because if you do, you're only going to throw more chance of getting injured again. And this is why I've resisted the temptation to trick for a month. I've not had a session, I've done drill. So I'm going to go out and have a session sometime soon when the weather clears up. And hopefully, because my body will be stronger, they will definitely be much better. So make sure you're conditioning and stretching everywhere in your body. Head, neck, wrists, you name it, whatever it is, make sure you're conditioning. And hopefully this video helps, and hopefully you guys learn some things and apply it in your future training sessions. So, without further ado, comment down below what you want the next episode to be. Hopefully I will be back to tricking soon. I'm very sorry. Also, my phone broke, so I can't make any more samplers because I'm missing clips. But I've got a couple that I can use for later on usage, so I'll do that now. And yeah, to end on a high note, here's my first cork after rehabilitation, which I did in America. And yeah, this is San Francisco with the Golden Gate Bridge in the background. It looks amazing. I love it. So yeah, hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace, and make those tricking gains. Woo! Let's go!